Week 37, Day 1. Confront. Come face to face with.
Why do we refuse to confront the unsavory problems of our times in a candid and incisive way?
Antipathy. Dislike, distaste, hate.
Her antipathy towards men was based on rather nebulous events that she construed to prove that they were all perfidious.
Servile. Slavish, submissive.
He found his servile position a degrading one, and could not accept it with equanimity.
Volition. Willpower, choice.
He was a tenacious competitor, and at his own volition he placed his title in jeopardy on many occasions.
Sojourn. Temporary stay.
The expatriate decided to make his sojourn in France a permanent one in order to give up his nomadic way of life.
To tighten one's belt. To get set for bad times or poverty.
He knew he would have to draw in his horns and tighten his belt, or he would wind up on Skid Row.
A man of nature. Henry Thoreau attempted to confront the problem and solve the enigma of how one might earn a living, and yet not become an ignominious slave to the task. He viewed the Industrial Revolution with antipathy. Man in a servile role to extraneous possessions was a main target of his writings. He believed that one could attain genuine wealth, not by accumulating objects or money, but through enjoyment and perusal of nature. By his own volition, he gave up friends and comforts for a 2-year sojourn by himself, at Walden Pond. What others might judge as penury, was seen by Thoreau as the epitome of wealth.
Week 37, Day 2. Austere. Simple, unadorned, hard.
Far from being ostentatious, she was considered the acme of fashion, because of her austere manner of dress.
Felicitous. Happy.
On that felicitous occasion, the amount of money he spent was irrelevant.
Halcyon. Peaceful, calm.
During the turbulent days of the war, they wished for the halcyon days of earlier times.
Tenable. Supportable, defendable.
When he found his sinecure was no longer tenable, he felt it a propitious time to resign.
Superfluous. Excessive, surplus.
Because he was an itinerant worker, he had to disdain carrying superfluous equipment.
Off the beaten track. Not usual, out of the ordinary.
Because his ideas were always off the beaten track, he lived under a sword of Damocles on his job.
The Good Life. Thoreau's book about the austere but happy life at Walden Pond propagated his fame around the world. He built a small hut and began living an ascetic existence. He found it to be a felicitous experience. In this idyllic setting, he was able to spend his time reading, studying nature, writing, and thinking. Far from being indolent, he kept busy in many ways. At the end of the experiment, he recalled the halcyon days with pleasure. He believed he had learned the secret of the truly happy life. The only tenable way of life is one in harmony with nature. Material possessions are superfluous.
Week 37, Day 3. Motivate. Inspire, stimulate, provoke.
Complacent people are difficult to motivate to altruistic actions.
Rationalize. use or give a reason other than the real one.
It is pathetic the way some citizens rationalize their apathy during election years.
Therapy. Healing or curing process.
In order to complete the therapy, the doctor said a trip to a warm, dry climate was mandatory.
Nascent. Beginning to exist or develop.
His beard was in its nascent state. It would soon be a hirsute masterpiece.
Iconoclast. Image breaker, attacker of beliefs.
The iconoclast was in favor of jettisoning one of the traditions that had become an intrinsic part of his life.
A square peg in a round hole. An able man in the wrong job.
It was a bitter pill to swallow when they had to fire him, because he was a square peg in a round hole.
The Mind's Secrets. The study of the human mind and behavior has had many prominent practitioners, but no one is more revered than Sigmund Freud. An Austrian physician, he is said to be the father of psychoanalysis. He taught that man has a subconscious mind, in which he keeps repugnant memories that come to the surface surreptitiously and motivate behavior. Man often tries to rationalize his actions when, in reality, they are really the result of suppressed memories coming to the surface. Freud's approach to the disturbed person was to attempt therapy by examining the dreams that make cognizant what the cause of the illness might be. Only with the airing of deleterious, buried emotions can the person move from the nascent stage to that of full health. Freud was considered an iconoclast in the field of psychology when his ideas first appeared at the beginning of the 20th century.
Week 37, Day 4. Erudite. Very scholarly.
The erudite man was more than merely bilingual, he spoke 5 languages.
Phobia. Persistent fear, strong dislike.
She could not countenance the sight of a lethal weapon, it was tantamount to a phobia with her.
Germane. Appropriate, in close relationship to.
Epithets are not germane when motivating a child to a task.
Vertigo. Dizziness.
I would never have the temerity to walk across the steel girders, high up on a new building, an onset of vertigo would surely follow.
Conducive. Leading, helpful.
The bedlam in the study hall was not conducive to good work habits.
To upset the apple cart. To overturn or disturb a plan or intention.
It was a bitter pill to swallow when they upset the apple cart and elected a dark horse.
Amateur psychologists. The ideas of Freudian psychology have become part of our everyday life. Our language is replete with clichés that have their origin in Freud's writings. There is a surfeit of amateur psychologists who, with celerity, analyze an individual's problems from the slightest evidence. Despite their dubious education and training in this field, they discuss symptoms and cures on a most erudite fashion. Should a person express a fear of heights, this phobia is examined, events from childhood are considered germane to the problem. Is it possible he or she was dropped as an infant? Perhaps something in a dream is pertinent to explain the feelings of vertigo that accompany height. For some reason, non-trained people find the Freudian approach to the workings of the human mind most conducive to their practicing as amateur psychologists.